Now this whole conversation leads me to the fourth critical choice, which was for me to
Mhm.
create community and belonging, which is honestly, Aricia, I could spend all of my time only on that every single day of my day, thinking about how can I continue to create community and belonging for others, for myself, for those people that don't have, like, really, that is where my biggest passion lies. And probably because I grew up not belonging. And I was in my early 30s before I actually realized that it's not a badge of honor that I
Mhm.
held, that I don't need people and I don't need to be a part of a community. I actually wanted to belong, and I needed to figure out how to make that happen. So I went off on a little tangent there for a second. So much of what you do and what you were talking about the village and your mom and your grandma, and is all around community. So let me just start with, give me your perspective around community and belonging, and then I would like to go a little bit deeper with you on some questions.
Sure. Um, like I said before, relationships are probably like the most important thing in my life. Um, Community is the most important thing in my life. I have an amazing support system in my family, and in my friends, my coworkers. The different groups, that organizations that I'm a part of. Even as a new business owner, like making relationships with artisans in the area that I live in. It's incredible because what I find is that, people, they push you and they support you and they help you see sides of yourself that you don't necessarily see. So I think that's important to have those people around you because they push you to heights and they help you see different visions that you don't necessarily see for yourself.
Just awesome. And one of the things that I heard with what you just said is these um, these different units of community.
Hmm.
You have different almost communities.
Hmm.
And do you ever find or try to cross pollinate any of your communities? Does that
Um,
make sense?
it does. It does. I mix my family and my friend groups. I mix my professional groups and my friend groups,
Yeah,
and my friends are always willing. I'm nonprofit, so my friends are always willing to come out and help volunteer at anything that I'm doing. It's
yeah.
the same for my family, and I'm always connecting people because people help me and I want to help them. So I think that by helping others create new relationships, that's really beneficial as well.
And a big part of community is creating belonging. So I'm going to ask
Mhm.
two questions. I'm going to start with the what does it feel like to not belong? And then I want to hear from you, what does it feel like to belong?
Mhm.
So what we know, but from your perspective, what does it feel like not to belong?
Um, I think the time that I felt, um, that I didn't belong is especially when I first came to the States and, being different, being the new kid and being someone who stood out. It didn't, it didn't feel good. It felt lonely. Even in spaces like earlier in my career when I didn't look like other people, that felt lonely too. Um, and I don't mean that you always have to have someone around you to feel that you fit in, but having people make a point of trying to make you feel like you belong, I think is really, really important too. So yeah, it felt lonely, it felt discouraging, um, and it's not something that I would ever want anyone to experience or go through. And I think that's why I try to make a point of, no matter where I am, trying to make people feel like they're welcome and they belong.
And how does it feel to belong?
Feels amazing. It feels like you're seen. It feels like you're heard. It feels like you're valued. It feels like you're supported. And like I said before, when you feel all those things, and when you have a community that pushes you and a community that you belong to, you feel like you can take on the world and you can take on any challenge.
It's awesome. I want to get your perspective on what I think here a little bit with belonging, with what we're talking about is for me, I believe that belonging requires reciprocity, meaning it's not an idea, it's an action. And it requires action on both of our parts. It's what you just said made me think about this is who do you see that perhaps might not belong, and what can you do to create even a mini moment of belonging. And then it requires that person to want to accept and try, because maybe they've tried 1,000 times before and it's never worked. So it takes courage and all of that stuff. So I believe that it takes action. It's not an idea. It's an action. And it requires both, it requires both. And I think that's a little bit of what you were saying, or what I took from you saying. And then I'm going to add on top of this is I believe that there's nothing more important than who we are as individuals. And it's our life experiences that make us who we are. And so to really start to create a sense of belonging within the community or within the group or within the team or within whatever it is, perhaps we can start thinking about creating safe spaces for people to start to exchange some of those individual experiences that make them who they are, which is what you said yes to today, to do this for my community.
Exactly. Safe spaces are so important. Making people feel welcome is so important. I think with technology and with, the world of distractions today, I think that it kind of, hinders relationships in a way. I think an important part of making people feel seen, making people feel like they belong, is being present without any distractions, and making them know that you care. Like, ask genuine questions. Remember their dog's name. Remember something that they had going on last week. Bring that up so that they know that you care. And I think that's what's missing in a lot of today's relationships. Everything's just at the surface value, because either we're too busy or we have too much going on, that we don't have time to build and maintain those genuine relationships anymore. And I wish that's something that more people will make a point of doing.
Me too. And you know what? We do. And we will continue. And that even goes into building trust. What you were saying about building trust, show up with empathy and show that you care. And it all comes together. It all comes together. Thank you for joining me for our Choose and Become interview series. You could find this episode and others at trishkendall.com. Just go to trishkendall.com/choose-become-interview-series. Or if you have a question or just want to leave a comment, email me, trish@trishkendall.com.